Welcome to Nameless Debate Radio, where radioactivity is contagious.
So, are we going to continue the previous discussion, or are we going to start a different topic?
I mean, it's the same discussion. You're wrong about it, so let's discuss it.
So, my claim is that any definition of objective truth can't by definition be mind independent, because the only way to know truth is through the a priori perceptual cognitive structures of our mind, which don't vary with respect to any empirical change and have a necessary existence that can only be justified tautologically. So the only way to justify the existence of your own mind is to use your mind to prove your mind exists, which is a necessary eternal truth, because if it's outside how your mind can represent or perceive or perform some description or circumscribe some theory, then it can't be known because it requires a mind to know anything. At some point, in order to know anything, there needs to be a complete unity between the mind and what is true. So any type of truth...
Wait. I'm confused. You just made a step I don't follow. Can you explain to me what the relationship... No, I'm going to ask you a question, all right? Can you explain to me what the relationship between knowledge and truth is?
Between knowledge and truth?
Yeah, correct.
Truth is something you know for certain. Truth is absolutely true. Truth is absolutely true, by definition.
No, you didn't answer my question, mate.
What is the relationship between knowledge and truth?
Yeah.
Well, on some level they're synonymous. On other levels they can vary. That's my definition.
I don't agree. Explain to me how they're synonymous and explain to me how they vary.
Because on some level, analytic truths are knowable a priori, but on other levels they can vary and not be necessary.
You're still not explaining the relationship. What's the difference?
I just explained it.
I think he's asking for the relationship of what you mean with respect to what you are currently talking about.
Well, I just explained it. Necessary truths, your knowledge of them is invariant and can't change. That's what makes a truth a necessary truth.
No, but that's not what I asked.
What do you want?
Can you listen more carefully? Listen more carefully, mate. Okay. Truth as a concept and knowledge as a concept, what differentiates them?
Well, truth is absolute true. Knowledge can sometimes be justified true belief, which might not necessarily be truth.
Okay, so you're saying knowledge is justified true belief, right? Yes, and truth
might not be
is
truth.
Necessarily true. What does truth is necessarily true mean? Does that mean it can't be false?
It means it's an analytic truth.
Okay, but when you say false, do you mean it cannot be evaluated as false, or it could not be false even if there were no predication about it?
So, it cannot. It's true in all possible worlds. There's no possible world A where some analytic truth fails to obtain, right? And so examples of truth like this, right? For examples of truth like this, you only have two options. You either go abstract objects or God. Those have been the only two options throughout the history of philosophy. Now, you could say abstract objects exist necessarily in and of themselves. That could be what exists and what is absolutely true, abstract objects. However, the problem with that is the only way we know about abstract objects is through having a mind, being aware of their existence and interpreting them inside minds. They don't just sit outside of minds without a relationship to minds, right?
I'm sorry, says who?
Well, but because it's
so it says who? Where did you? No, so quickly. Where did you do the experiment to test that one?
Yeah, because you can't. It's impossible. There's
no. I didn't ask for your reasoning. I said where was the proof? What experiment did you do to evaluate that proposition?
A priori, if it's outside the mind, it can't be known.
Listen, man. You didn't answer my question. What experiment did you perform to demonstrate the necessity of that conclusion?
It's not an experiment. It's an a priori truth.
I know what a priori truth means, but the thing that you said about truth...
I can't use an empirical truth, right?
You said, no, listen. A priori truth is definitional, okay? Definitional truth is not necessarily mental.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I don't agree. No, definition...
Stop. Mind to know it.
Stop.
Yes, I just
definition has nothing to do with knowledge, okay? A tree has a definition long before you know about it.
How can you verify that?
I don't have to verify it. That's deductive.
No, but if
that is deductive.
Something can't exist outside the mind. That's unknowable.
I don't accept that. That's an assertion.
But then how can you know it outside of a mind?
I don't have to know it. That whether or not it exists isn't predicated. Stop. Whether or not it exists is not predicated upon what I know about it.
No, but I just challenge that contention. You have to.
I mean, no, but you challenge it how?
By saying if it's outside of a mind, it can't be known.
I don't care. Knowledge has nothing to do with what's true.
Knowledge has nothing to do with what's true.
Correct. Nothing. Literally, yes. Nothing. Knowledge has nothing to do with what's true.
Again,
this
just gets back to whether you think anything is true or not. And again, you keep admitting no.
No, I do think there are things that are true. I just think that human subjectivity cannot know truth with any certainty.
But then you don't believe anything's true because
not correct.
Truth is truth in all possible worlds. It can't fail to be known. Yes, that's exactly what truth is. It's absolutely the case.
No, stop. You can't just assert that. Let's hear what Dark Master had to say. Could you chime in, please?
Yeah, I mean, like, so we can make like statements about what we think is true, right? Without like knowing what is true in like a super ultra like absolute objective sense, and we function off of that because that's all we have.
Yeah, that's an assertion. That's an assertion.
No, stop. Yes, that is an assertion, but I personally agree with it. Why do you think it's false?
I already explained why. Because if to have absolute truth,
you did.
Do you not understand the
yourself. That's an assertion of your own. So wait, are you just? No, but are you just like putting your assertion up against it?
You can't comprehend the argument?
No, I said, are you putting your own assertion up against his?
So I'm arguing independently that knowledge and truth on a fundamental level can't be absolutely distinct, otherwise you can't know anything for certain. I've said that already.
Yes, but I'm sorry, everybody here admits that you can't know anything for certain.
No, I don't.
That's irrelevant.
The fact it is relevant.
Stop. It's not relevant. Not relevant.
No,
you don't need
certainty. Because if you do
not need certainty.
Yes,
you don't need certainty. You can just make guesses.
Well, how do you know that's true?
I don't have to know it.
But you don't know anything. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You don't admit to knowing it's childish. And either you call me an arrogant person for saying everyone does know at least one eternal truth.
Yeah, that's because they don't.
Can't do that, but then you say, but we don't know anything. Well, you're just a child then. You don't know anything.
No, I'm not a child. Let me put it to you this way. Just stop talking. Stop talking.
Darth, hold on a second, please.
Do you think you are smarter than Stephen Hawking?
No, but I smell an argument. I smell something.
No. It was a question. Just
straw man coming up.
Look, man. Just answer the question, okay? Let's see where I go.
No, I don't. But I smell this is completely irrelevant to the argument. But no, I don't.
Let's see where I go with it. You don't. Okay, cool. So, if Stephen Hawking were to tell you that, in his opinion, he wasn't certain of anything, would you call him a child?
Would I call him a child?
Yeah, because you just called me a child for the same thing.
No, but it doesn't follow that I'd always call someone a child just because they claim not to know anything.
That's the reason.
That doesn't follow.
That's the reason.
That's not necessarily entailed. No, it's not necessarily entailed that just because someone claims to not know anything, I will always call them a child. That doesn't necessarily.
But you did just call me a child for that reason.
Yeah,
right?
But that doesn't imply that I would necessarily call everyone a child in every context. Doesn't follow.
And what's your fucking reason? What's your reason?
That's your no, but that argument doesn't work. I just demonstrated.
What was your reason for calling me a child?
Because you act like a child.
What was your reason for calling me a child?
Because you act like a child.
You said I act like a child.
Yes.
Justify that.
You claim not to know anything.
Yeah, but I just said if Stephen Hawking said the same, would you call him a child?
No, it doesn't follow. I have to call him a child.
I'm pretty fucking sure it does follow. That's exactly the same situation with a different person.
Even if it did, it would be irrelevant. It would be irrelevant.
Okay. So I don't want to focus too much on the personal, but I think that we can talk.
Well, that's all he does. When he loses the argument, he just goes straight to the personal. That's all he does.
No, I don't think that he is. But listen,
just in the last phase, telling me to shut the fuck up. You guys are telling me I shouldn't be. Alright, Homnan, have you heard your own leader? Have you heard how he acts?
He's not my leader. Okay, he's not my leader, but please be quiet.
We don't give him unconditional respect then.
So what I'm saying is that if when we talk about things, we need a criteria to evaluate that. Yes. As a basic thing of pragmatism.
Well, that's assuming pragmatic.
So
again, I'm a coherentist, but I'm using the mind to justify. I don't assume you can use pragmatism, but I don't assume pragmatic theory of truth. I believe all forms of truth are subservient to coherentist theory of truth because everything's justified by using your mind to justify it. Otherwise, it would be incoherent. Your mind couldn't know it. It's circular. That's the whole argument. It's a necessary truth. If you don't understand it, you can break it down into baby steps so you can comprehend it.
That is so. You said X is necessary, right? That is something that you need to have because, like, you know, you want to function in like the place that you seem to think you live in, right?
Well, I've said that we have to admit that we do know some things for certain. Otherwise, we don't know anything. We can't just say, well, we could be wrong about this. We could be wrong about anything.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, then we have no knowledge. Then there's no point.
Sure. If we actually can, right? If we actually can, and the contention is that we do not think, right? We do not think that we can, and so we use the next best option, which is to get as close to that as we possibly can.
Yes, and I claim that the claim that we don't think we can is unjustified. It's self-defeating. If you don't think you can have absolute knowledge, you don't know anything. Simple as that.
Anyway, stop talking for a sec, Jessica. I just stop talking for a sec, alright? I want Aluia to jump in here because you complained about me using and abusing my admin powers.
You know what I love?
Stop talking right now. Hang on. Okay? The point is, we are going to have one person talking at a time. You're not going to talk over other people. Someone who isn't me is watching who's talking and who's not allowed to talk yet. And if you talk over other people, you will be muted. It's as simple as that.
All right.
I just want to make a note ahead of time that you get all your buddies in here to back you up.
For the record, okay. For the record, and I mean it's your choice. It's your choice whether or not. Okay, so a couple of things. It's your choice whether or not like you believe us. But I will say, like, you know, I mean, of course, you know, we argue with each other all the time. So it's not like, hey, like InSync believes X, therefore I'm going to join this and like automatically just like it is true I trust him, but like I'm not gonna automatically just like blindly support him. And so I do want to make that clear. Okay. And so since that's been established and you can base your reaction off of whatever trust you have, to go to the central point, right? If you don't think that you can establish truth with absolute certainty, right? Like, what do you do at that point? And how would you even get to a point where you can establish that? So those are my two questions.
Through circularity. So the only, for example, you don't have absolute. For my contention, absolute truth, right? Then you can't know anything for certain. And one thing he Jeff's that, and then he says, "Oh no, I don't know anything for certain." Then there's no point.
I want you to. You kind of cut out. You kind of cut out. I want you to like start from the beginning of that, please.
What do you want me to do? Defend my contention that there are necessary truths?
That we know. I think he asked you two very specific questions.
You just but you just said some stuff, and I would like you to repeat what you said because you cut out.
Oh, I said we have to establish that we have necessary or absolute knowledge we have some absolute knowledge on some level. Otherwise, we don't have knowledge of anything. Can you hear me?
Do you think that addresses his questions, mate?
What do you mean?
Like he asked you two specific. Let's stop. He asked you two very specific questions. You didn't answer them.
Okay, so I can explain that, right? So basically, I was like, so you were like, hey, wait a minute, you need to have this, and my question was, okay, well, why do you need to have this? And I don't accept it as so I don't accept this dichotomy, right? Of like, so you either have it or you have nothing, because I don't think that's like how people function.
Well, but that's what I was arguing. I was answering your question. I was explaining why absolute truth is necessary.
Yeah, so but we didn't accept that. Like we didn't accept that.
That doesn't mean it's not true just because you don't accept it. It's simple as that.
Sure, but like the point is like that seems to fly in the face of like how most people tend to operate, especially people that have studied this professionally.
Yeah, don't
fallacy
just
of authority. That's an appeal
dude,
to authority.
don't just mouth off fallacies, all right? Let's ask the mediator. Hey, Jamie, did that sound like an appeal to authority to you? And if it didn't, could you please have a conversation with Deathspell about how he thought it was an appeal to authority and make a judgment?
Hello?
Is your mic working at the moment, Jamie?
I'm just saying, because he said it before, most people haven't said this. That's an argument of authority fallacy.
But no, sorry, explain it to me then. It seems like the mediator's mic isn't working. Say it again.
Well, Dark Master said at the end, he said, well, this seems like how most people haven't defined it. But that's independent.
He didn't say that. Try again.
So what I said was, it seems like the way people function, right, is off of what they have. So
yeah, I know that, but then you said at the end, yeah, but then most people who've looked into this and studied it, that's not how they conceive of it. And I'm saying that's an argument, that's an appeal to authority fallacy. That's all. I'm just pointing out a fallacy.
No, because like an appeal to authority, like a fallacy would be me saying that that's what they think when they don't actually think that. I'm saying that they are legitimate authority. And they do
the appeal to authority fallacy would be that's what they think, therefore it's true. Okay, but it's a very valid contention to say that because all of the people who've looked into it don't agree with you, maybe you're wrong.
Yeah, but that's not what he said.
So maybe you are wrong. Do you admit that?
About what specifically?
About anything, about all of the things that are in your head.
No, because I could be wrong about some things, but there has to be some necessary truths that I do know, as I've said before, in order for me to have some knowledge at all.
So, are you saying that a person can't be mentally ill? Are you saying someone can't be mentally ill?
Of course they can be mentally ill, but they still exist. They know reality.
Yeah, no, but the fact that they exist isn't predicated on the fact that they know it. They may not know it. They could be catatonic ill.
They have to know it to be in reality.
No, they don't. You can be brain dead and exist.
No, but then I would just deny the premise that a necessary part of them exists. I'd say some part of them is being destroyed if they're brain dead.
No, but I didn't ask for your opinion on that. The point is that they exist in some sense.
No, but the premise that if they're brain dead, therefore they don't exist, assumes, right?
Incorrect.
Assumes physicalism about the mind that their
I didn't say that.
To the brains.
I didn't say that.
That's a hidden premise in your claim. So I keep
no,
pointing out hidden premises, and you say
no, it isn't. No, it isn't. You keep misphrasing me.
So he's not okay. So I can clear this up, right? He's not saying that there is like an inherent physical aspect. What he's saying is, right? What he's saying is that the way the function works, right, is it doesn't suggest that there is something such as a mind or a physical or even a physical aspect. All he's saying is that like this is what we have and like this is what we go off of. That's it. Okay, so it's neither. So it's not physical, nor is he saying that there is a mind.
Hang on. So before, when he said that the brain, if the person was catatonic or brain dead, right? So they don't know they exist. But that argument assumes that the person's mind is identical to the brain. So that you need an independent argument for that. So if he's going to make that assertion,
how did it assume that? Sorry.
Excuse me. If you say they can't have
explain
recognizing their existence. How many times do I have to keep explaining these things? If you say they're brain dead, then they can't know they exist. That argument, right, assumes the identity theory of mind that they're identical to their brain. So if that, you have to give an independent argument for that. That's all you have to say. If you want to give an independent argument for that, you can, but it's not on the topic. So we should go back to the topic.
Wait a minute. It sounds like you're assuming that their existence is predicated upon their knowing that they exist. I fundamentally contest that.
Yes, but then it depends upon your class of what you define as knowledge. I count sensory perceptual processing as a form of knowledge. So if having sensory perception,
stop. It's not based on that at all. I said, sounds like you're saying that whether or not they exist is predicated directly on whether or not they know they exist in any sense. I don't accept that.
You have to know they exist in some sense, whether it be cognitive or perceptual.
I don't accept that. A rock exists even if
that's why I've been arguing. I know you don't accept it. That's why I've been giving independent arguments.
Stop. A rock exists even if it doesn't know that it exists.
That's a premise. You have to establish whether the rock knows exists or not.
No, I don't. I just said I don't count knowledge about existence as a predication factor.
Well, you said if the rock exists, even if it doesn't know it exists, but that assumes it doesn't know it exists. It's an assumption.
No, it doesn't. It says even if does not assume anything.
So yes, well, I think that there's something.
The point. I challenge that. You have to have knowledge.
Okay, so I think that we have to. We have to say. We have to say this because it's really worth pointing out, right? So if you have a claim and you reject what a claim is, right? So somebody tells you a claim and you reject it. That's not you making a claim to the contrary. That is just you not accepting the claim.
Yeah, I know you don't accept it, but I've been giving independent arguments for it. We know we're just back to the beginning of the
No, I'm talking about like how claims function in general. I'm not saying like I'm not making a specific statement about anything else.
Yeah, so for instance, when I say that the existence of a thing is not predicated upon its knowledge of its existence, that's a claim I'm making, right?
Okay,
you're saying,
and I deny that.
You're denying it, all right? And I'm saying, like, well, how do you know that existence is predicated on knowledge? And you're saying, well, it's true for me. That's a shitty argument.
No, you have to show the problem with the argument.
No. I said, how do you know? Look, in a universal sense, how do you know that existence is predicated upon knowledge?
Because I exist and I know I exist.
Yeah, that is not an argument.
You already agreed it was a tautology. Now, hang on a second. See,
a tautology is by definition not an argument.
In sync, I will say.
Wait a second.
In sync, you're not. That's not necessarily a claim. I'm just pointing that out. But okay, go ahead.
Okay, now here's the thing. InSync already agreed with me earlier that necessary analytic truths are tautologies. Now he's saying no, but tautologies can't be used to justify your position. So again, he's going to stand against his own position. And again, this also depends on whether you can't use tautologies to give you knowledge or whether tautologies communicate you information. I reject any claim that they don't. I think tautologies are circular, self-defining universal truths that we have to assume, right, to construct language to model our external environment, right? And we can't model reality without assuming our mind exists, right? And we need to use some form of language to represent reality. But this form of language can't be outside of a mind that knows it, otherwise it's unknowable by the mind by definition. So you might not even talk about it. It's irrelevant. How many times do you need to go through it?
So
I just given the argument. No, I just gave a whole series of argument for it.
I listened. You said you made an assumption. Is that accurate?
I'm assuming the mind exists. Yeah.
Yeah. So you make an assumption. Yeah. Where's your evidence that the assumption is correct?
Self-verifying assumption. That's necessary true.
No, I don't accept that. It does not follow.
So you don't accept the mind exists. Well, then you don't accept you exist. Then you don't exist.
No, that's a straw man. I do accept I exist. You cannot tell me that I don't.
How do you know exist? How do you know exist?
I don't know it. I just believe it. Okay, you can't just repeat yourself, mate.
You just said no. I do accept I exist. I said no. I don't know I exist, mate. You just contradict
yourself. There's a difference between accepting something. There's a difference between believing. There's a difference between believing that something is true and knowing that it is true.
Yes, but you can't reject the claim, the assumption that you exist.
That is irrelevant. It's an assumption. It's not necessarily true.
It has to be because there's no other way to know anything at all.
By definition, an assumption is not necessarily true. By definition.
No, but
assumptions are not necessarily true.
No, I never said that. I said some.
No.
I said some classes of assumption are true. I never said they're all necessarily true.
I don't accept that. Assumptions are by definition not necessarily true. That is what assumption means.
No, I challenge that. Again,
well, you're wrong. That's okay. So let's Google it.
I already said before. I already covered this when I said I challenge any claim against tautology as a means to attain truth.
Check into base voice chat. Okay, I just checked what an assumption was. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look.
I reject the definition, as I already said.
You reject the definition that everybody but you uses. Is that correct?
Argument from authority. That's an argument from authority.
No, everybody.
Yes, it is. Come on, mate. You know how logic works. That's a fallacy of authority. Don't deny it.
I do know how logic.
Come on, I keep catching you all the time, man. In contradictions. Stop contradicting yourself.
Stop talking over me. You keep talking when other people are talking, as if your voice is more important. All right. When other people are talking, let them finish. right?
Oh, yeah,
An
well,
assumption, by definition, is something which is not necessarily true. That is literally what assumption in the dictionary means. How do you justify saying that there are some assumptions that are necessarily true? If they are necessarily true, they're not assumptions.
How's the assumption, the definition of that assumption is not necessarily true? What makes that true?
I don't say that it is necessarily true.
Well, what are you saying then? You're just telling me I can't challenge it's a necessary truth.
I'm saying that everybody,
truth, I can challenge the definition.
Everybody but you has agreed on one definition.
Argument from authority. Argument from authority.
No,
again.
Even if we do use like a special connotative definition, right? I mean, we still have to like agree on the terms we're using. Otherwise, like we're just like not gonna get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what justifies the assumption that assumptions aren't justifying? What justifies it?
That's how they're defined by all humans.
Something without an assumption, without assuming something. Go on then.
I'm not going to be able to.
Come on, mate. Pragmatic theory of truth assumed. Justify that assumption.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a presuppositionalist to me.
Yeah, so what?
It sounds like you are a presuppositionalist to me.
Just because I am doesn't follow it's wrong.
I didn't say it was wrong, silly bean. I said that's a stupid way to argue. It's a stupid way to argue.
You have to demonstrate that's an assertion.
No, stop. Presuppositionalism never demonstrates that your conclusion is necessary. All presuppositionalism does is attempts to demonstrate that the other person's conclusion is not necessarily true. That does not demonstrate that your conclusion is necessarily true. And I can use the same tactic you're using, which is presuppositionalism, to say your assumptions are not necessarily true, and that's a fact. They are not necessarily true.
Yes, but some assumptions...
Yeah, it's kind of moot at that point. It's like you don't get anywhere. And like it doesn't even follow.
No, you like, travel in a circle. That's the whole point.
Of like what people use.
That's not supposed to be the point.
Why is it?
The whole point of logic is not to just travel in a circle. Of course, some of truth. Stop. Godel already showed that isn't possible, so people don't try. It's called epistemology.
No, but that would only apply to a formal language. It doesn't incapacitate our capacity to utilize language, right? Well, then that's a separate assumption that assumes formal languages distribute over all natural languages. You have to justify that claim. Come on now, man.
Okay, so unless any language is formalized, then there are going to be differences between the people who are using it.
Yes, but that doesn't show that you can't use logic to justify logic.
Pretty sure it does. If there are differences between the people who are using it, stop talking. Stop talking. I wasn't done. If we don't agree on what the words we're using are, none of us can get to any shared conclusion. Therefore, formal languages are necessary to reach shared conclusions.
No, but they can't be necessary because then they'd be self-justifying. Again, you're refuting yourself.
No, excuse me. Yes, necessary does not mean
self-justifying.
No. Oh, that's not definitional. Let's look up what necessary means in the dictionary. Again, are you making up your own words, mate?
If that's independent of it, no. I can
challenge you are making up your own words.
If you look up, hang on a second. Just because the definition, so you're saying if it's defined in the dictionary this way, that means how its definition is?
That's how words work.
Definition
from authority. That's an argument from authority.
Sorry, that's called linguistics, my dude.
No, mate, it's argument for authority. You're saying the definition has to be defined this way because some people defined it this way. It doesn't follow.
That's not what I'm saying. That's a non-sequitur.
Well, did a group of people define the word that way?
No, I'm saying that everybody but you defines it a certain way.
No,
if you stop talking over me. Okay, everybody but you defines it a certain way. If you want to define it differently, you're welcome to. But before we engage in a discussion, you'd better make your definition clear, and we had better to agree to it. Otherwise, we won't get anywhere.
Yeah. So, to put it very simply, what he's saying is that using what people have established, right? So using what people have established, or like making clear what you want to have established beforehand is useful for communicating ideas.
Well, if you're paying attention, I already did. I said necessary truths are tautologically self-justified. I said that many times. Check the chat if you don't believe me. I've done it already. Quick, why do I have to keep repeating myself saying ad nauseum? Because
define necessary by itself, define truth by itself, write them out in debate voice text so we can all refer to them.
I've said, write them out.
Yes, write your definitions out. Yes.
Truth is what's absolutely necessary. That's it.
No. Write them out. I don't think you're making sense. Write them out and prove it.
Yeah, so
all my definition is truth is absolutely true. That's it. That's all it is.
That doesn't mean anything.
That's repeating yourself. Like,
again,
explain to us what that is.
Hang on, wait. It comes back to tautologies. Again, I said I did reject the claim that repeating itself is necessarily false and that tautologies cannot yield useful information.
A tautology doesn't count as an argument by definition.
No, yes, but tautologies are their own arguments. Yes, they are.
No, they're not. No, tautologies. Listen. In logic, tautologies are not classified as arguments. They're not.
They are the very.
So if you want to say there's something different, you have to explain to us what you mean so that we can use what you are talking about to get somewhere, because otherwise we're not going to be talking about what each other is.
I already have, but you just keep rejecting my definitions. Yeah, I have kept giving definitions.
I don't think you're being consistent. Write them out so you can't equivocate. Write them, okay? Type them.
Absolute truth is tautology.
Now.
No, absolute truth is tautology. That's it. That's
I'm going to get the mediator to mute you until you've typed your definitions out. This isn't acceptable.
Challenge the definition. I've given it to you.
No, I don't accept that. Write it out so we can refer to it so you can't equivocate.
Tautology. That's it.
Okay, so what's a tautology? What does necessary mean?
A circular truth.
No. Write them out.
Necessary. Tautology is necessary truths.
Yeah, you're just repeating yourself again.
Write them out so that we have
that's
something
the whole point
to refer to. We hear you, right? And like, we're listening, but we want that written out so that we have something to directly refer back to. So can you please do that for the sake of this conversation?
But what do you want me to define more? I've already defined truth as a tautology.
I want you to write down what you have defined.
I have. Truth is a tautology.
That's not what we're asking. We're asking you to go. So go to go to the proper channel and type your definition down, and then click enter so that it posts the message so that we can see that and have that to refer back to.
I did. I put it in debate voice text. I've typed it. I have already. I put it in debate voice text. You can see it. Truth is a tautology. I have already. Above.
Yeah, that's not an adequate definition. Try again.
You have to support that assertion. No, you have to support that assertion.
Yeah, that.
Okay, but hang on. Wait, but when he says not adequate definition, he has to give it.
I think he wanted you to define each of those three words.
No, that's my opinion. I'm not interested in justifying it. Follow the instructions of the mediator. Follow the instructions of the mediator, or you will be muted.
That's it. I've done it.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be commensurate with a technical definition. If I look it up online, if I look it up in a dictionary or online, I see something much better than that. Much more descriptive, much more specific. Please match your definition in format to the definitions I might get from a dictionary. I mean, realistically, we could deal with this on a more fundamental level, which is that this fella here doesn't admit that he could be wrong. You know, like, epistemologically, it's a fact he could be wrong, but he doesn't admit that that's true. And, like, that's a form of foundationalism, realistically. But one of the conclusions that he claims is foundational is the mind, and I have an alternative explanation which doesn't rely on the mind, and if it is equivalent in explanatory scope and simpler in terms of how many unproven assumptions it relies on, then it's a superior explanation. But he doesn't even admit that there could be one that he doesn't know about, which seems ridiculous because obviously he doesn't know everything.
I mean,
I'm going to leave if you keep muting me and not letting me talk and say what my opinion is when I'm not here to defend myself. Don't keep doing that. I'm out. I'm leaving.
Yeah, buddy. I don't really care if you leave. A mediator is muting you.
Man, so you have to tell everyone. You have to tell your group here what my position is while I'm going, and I can't defend myself.
Talking.
Yes,
listen, you can't talk over other people. That's against the rules. If you keep doing it, you will continue to be muted. You'll continue to be muted. Do you understand?
Because you're behaving like an asshole.
You don't seem to be listening.
Okay, Instinct, hold on a second though. Like, let's just focus on like what he's written down.
Dude, if you keep muting me and then telling everyone what my position is and why it doesn't work and I can't defend myself, I'm gonna leave.
That's not why you're being muted, buddy.
No, you're doing that because you're losing the argument, so you need to be able to stop me from being able to defend myself, so you can defend your position.
I'm not the one who's muting you.
Yes, it's a debate tactic.
Yeah, that one threw you a little bit, didn't it? I'm not muting you. A mediator is because you keep talking over people.
Don't take the opportunities to
represent my position. You just tried to talk over me then.
Yes, because you don't act with moral character, mate.
No, you can't justify it. It's against the rules. Do not talk over other people.
Well, then don't represent my position unfairly why I can't speak.
Don't talk over people and you will be able to speak.
I won't conform to your rules unless you conform to mine.
I don't care. You're on the server. You're going to conform to the rules.
Yeah, see, that's abuse of mod powers. I said if you keep doing that, I'm going to go.
Shut up.
You're getting owned, man. You're getting owned.
Jamie, did you have something to say?
Okay, so the statement, if you want me to clarify it more, all statements, propositions, descriptions, conceptualizations, and descriptions of reality are justified by the centennial connectives of the centennial calculus.
That's sentential.
Yes, but they all rely on tautologies. All statements, all propositions, all descriptions and conceptualizations require tautologies to be justified. Yes,
what does centennial mean?
Tautologies can give you information about reality because they're necessarily true always.
What does centennial mean?
Centennial is a logic that's constructed out of variables in a set of variables using operator symbols. It's a
wrong. Nope. No. What you're thinking of is sentential logic, which refers to sentences. Sentential.
So I mispronounced it.
No, you didn't just mispronounce it. You misspelt it, and you're talking about something you don't even understand.
I just that's an assertion.
I mean, like, clearly you haven't had a formal education in the subject if you don't even know the correct terms.
Just ad hominem. Just
that's not an ad hominem.
Okay, I don't want to go that far. What I do want that if we imagine this like blocks, right? Then we have to. Okay. If we imagine this, okay, please, guys, if we imagine this like this, right, we need to make sure that each block is in its proper place, at least proper to the best of our ability. So if truth, right, if it is circular, then we have to show how the blocks connect in a circular fashion. And so, Death, I'm interested.
And so I was saying everything is brought down to tautologically, analytically true statements, right? So you have to actually address the arguments. You can't just say, "Well, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have a formal education." It's ad hominem and justify that assertion.
Hey, but I don't want.
That's not ad hominem.
Yes, it is because you have to prove that it's true, or it's irrelevant.
Listen, challenging your qualifications doesn't count as an ad hominem attack.
Yeah, but it's irrelevant to the argument because you're avoiding the argument.
Look, an ad hominem attack is where I attack your character and imply that your argument is wrong because of your character. That's not what I did.
So you're saying because I don't have the property of having a formal education, then that might therefore that's important. Because you're not addressing the argument.
I didn't say therefore. Where did I say therefore?
Is a formal education a property of a character?
Where did I say therefore?
Can a character answer my question? I'm demonstrating it to you.
Yes.
Right? You seem to be a bit slow. I keep having to keep explaining.
No. I said yes to that. Where is the therefore?
If you're attacking that, you're attacking the character.
No, but I'm not saying because your character is flawed, therefore your argument is wrong, which is what ad hominem actually means.
It's just.
No. Yes, ad hominem fallacy is used when someone attacks the character to attack the argument. I didn't do that.
No. But it's to direct attention away from the argument and to their character. So it's rhetorical. Look it up.
No, I have looked it up. I'm educated on the subject.
It's irrelevant.
Okay,
It's irrelevant to the argument.
I actually slightly disagree with you, in sync, but I don't want to talk, like, it's not worth talking.
You see why, guys?
I don't think it's worth talking about, like, this. I don't think it's worth talking about, like, this specific thing. I think it's worth, like, way more worth talking about how. So if we're going to say that truth is circular, then what we have to do is we have to show how it fits in terms of blocks, and that is what I want to focus on, right?
Right. Well, but I can't keep. All he does is attack character. That's all he does. He doesn't.
I don't want to hear you talking about what he does. Please, I'm sorry, but I want to hear you talking about that specific thing.
He doesn't want to address the argument.
So if you keep talking about what he's doing, right? Then do you see how that's not going to be, like, that is not going to get us to a productive place? Like, if I'm saying that, like, if I'm telling him to talk less about the person, to talk less about the personal as well, and focus on how these blocks interact with each other, please do so.
Okay, but then it's going to require you to have expertise in mathematical logic. This is why I was just sitting to a basic explanation of it. I can't. Do you really want to break down a formal definition of how language?
We want to break this down as much as possible, because if you can say something that can legitimately change our minds, then that is something we would like to know. Like, I've written extensively about, like, a lot of this.
Well, that's interesting.
I can say personally, as a personal anecdote, we personally care quite a bit about whether or not this is true. So if you can do something to show, like, to change our minds, we definitely care about that. And we want to see those blocks demonstrated.
Okay. Do you understand why I don't get that impression, considering how the moderator here has acted in our debates?
I'm not the mediator.
No. He said he's saying because your staff and how you've acted, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but I'm not the one who's applying the mute.
Yeah. He's not. I don't think he's saying that. But that's fine. Like, okay. I understand how you get that impression. Okay, but I want to move on.
Because in that last debate, for example, you told me to shut the fuck up. That's just an example, man. That's just an example. You just got
to. Okay, like, can we please get down to, like, I'm not trying to dismiss you, but can we please get to, like, the actual, like, brunt of the work involved in this?
Okay, but do you understand? I've got to break down technical definitions of languages and formal model theory and how you construct.
Yes, I'm okay.
I can't do. No, I'm not going to write a whole essay on it. I'll send you some links on how to justify it. I can give an argument basically how I justify it, but I can't go and explain all of model theory to you. I can't. I'm not here to do that, for one thing. And I can give you a general argument. If you want me to send material, right?
But then you're okay. Whoa, hold on. Right. So if you cannot explain it to the degree we think it is sufficient, right?
Okay.
Then
right. I'll give you
that. Then that makes the conversation moot, because like I mean, okay, I've read plenty of things, right, about, say, presuppositional apologetics, right? You need to show that there is, like, you need to literally show, like, what a better way could be. Okay. And if you can't show that, sufficiently, then we're not going to accept that.
Yeah, but it also this is also contingent on whether you can comprehend the argument as well. Okay, and but if it's hard to be understood, then I have to break it down and explain different things. So it could dragged out. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, and you know what? If you need to do that, then we can do that. If you want to change our mind, like, if you care sufficiently about changing our minds, then you can do that.
Okay. All language, all statements, all propositions that a mind constructs, like, for example, yourself, all theories, right, require language for construction. Do you deny that premise?
No, I don't.
Right, now we get to the point where how can we justify language without using language to justify it?
Correct.
There you go. So language would be self-justifying, because the only way you could form any proof of the applicability of language in a particular context or derivability, right, would be to use language to justify language. That's called a meta-language, right?
Can't it just be unjustified?
I don't. Hold on.
No, but then it doesn't have any meaning.
Wait. Okay. So I don't. I don't agree. Right?
Okay. Well, what don't you agree with?
Like, I don't. I reject that claim.
Yeah. Well, but then you have to give an argument as to why the claim's false. And you can send me some of your material if you like.
No, you have to give the argument as to why the claim is true.
You have to challenge the premises and show they're wrong.
He said it doesn't follow.
Okay, we'll explain how it doesn't follow.
No, you have to explain how it does follow.
I already did. I said language. You can only use language to justify or describe language, right? So it's self-justifying.
Wait, instinct, stop. Diff. So you said, right? What you said is that you need language, language to like justify the logic, to actually
justify logic.
Okay.
You can't use
so what I am so that is something like that is a claim you are putting forth, and I am rejecting that specific claim. I am rejecting that.
Okay,
I am not accepting it.
Okay.
Now, I'm not claiming that. Hold on. I'm not claiming that it doesn't that it is not. Okay, so I'm not claiming that it cannot be true. I'm saying that.
Okay.
I reject that it is true, and so in doing so, I think right. So there's the first part where I'm rejecting that, right? But I also have like a very different understanding that what I think happens, right, is that I think we understand, we intuitively tend to make observations and build a model off that, and then we go back using language, right? So if you imagine it almost like a tree or an interconnected pyramid, I imagine we build language a bit up like the pyramid, and then we go back down retroactively, right? Using the thing we have to re-examine the stuff at the bottom. But I don't think that the stuff at the bottom is from the I don't think it is from the language itself. Like I don't think it's circular. I think it's you go up essentially, and then you go back down to better understand the stuff at the bottom.
Right, but you need to presuppose language throughout the whole thing. They even construct theories that have
you need to presuppose. I think you.
Right?
I think you need to presuppose that stuff exists.
Right, but you need anything that exists, right? It's structurally equivalent to a description of it. Right?
Yeah, so that means it can be reducible.
No, but that means it can be reducible to language. That's what I mean.
No, but it doesn't mean that it is reduced to language.
Yes, but it's reducible to a description. That's the whole point. And then we
need the point.
So if you imagine the language as the thing we use to understand it, what we're saying is, and in particular what I'm saying is, the thing itself is different than the language we use to understand
something outside of language to model and understand language. That's what you're saying?
No, that's not what he said. Don't strawman him.
No, I asked if that's what he's saying. It's not a straw man, unless I assumed it was true.
Yeah, okay, so...
Work on your logic, man.
What I think is that we have like these very inherent intuitive observations about the world that we live in, right? And that is where we derive our fundamental presupposition, right?
Right, but then what justifies presuppositions?
We use
What justifies having a presupposition? Why is that good?
Oh, because like I think we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and why do we have to start somewhere?
Yeah, like just out of
why do we have to start somewhere?
Well, because otherwise you don't act.
And why is it bad not to act?
I mean,
because your biology.
If you want to be extremely precise with it, I think we are forced, right? I think we are forced to have that fundamental presupposition. I think we are literally forced.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily incompatible with my claim.
I would concur.
Even if that was my claim. Yeah. So
wait, Death. What did you say?
I said, okay, you're literally forced. But do you think we use something that's not language to justify language?
No, he didn't say that, man. Can you just address what he's talking about? Don't try to paraphrase it.
Wait a minute. Yeah. To be fair, he is asking a question. So,
but he asked the question he asked before, which was exactly the same.
Yeah, because I want to know an answer to it.
He said no. He said no. That's not what he was saying.
Okay, but then how do we justify language then?
That's not what he's saying. Please focus on his words.
Okay, Darkmaster, are you saying we use language to justify language, or we use something that's not linguistic to justify language?
I think we use, okay, so to be clear, I think that we use what I was describing before to reach a point where we can have language, and then we use the thing we've created to re-examine what we've already established to better understand and continue to go further up, right?
Right. So you're saying
I'll give you an example, right? So before we can even establish, like, we need to do things before we even establish logic, right? But once we establish logic, we can use that to go back down to re-examine the things that we've already established.
Okay. Well, see, I reject that premise. I think we have to use logic to justify logic. So then that means...
Gödel showed that was impossible.
No, but then apply Gödel's arguments to his own argument. It's self-refuting. Think outside the box.
No, it's not self-refuting.
Yes,
every scientist in the world has accepted it.
So that's the argument from argument from majority, mate. It's fallacy.
So you're saying everybody in the world is wrong, but you're not.
No, on this particular issue, some people could be wrong. Not everyone in the world is wrong.
No, but everybody. All scientists are wrong, but you are not. Is that right?
Because the truth, because the argument from a
that is what you're saying.
Because they say it's true. Yes, I am saying they're wrong. Yes.
Fair enough, man.
That's independent of whether it's true or not.
Okay,
that's independent of whether it's true or not. That's why it's an argument with authority.
Okay, fine. But like, so if we observe like everybody going in like one direction, and like we think that like direction that everybody's going in is reasonable, like obviously we're gonna follow that, right?
Yeah, right. So maybe another way of explaining is, my thesis is there isn't necessarily limits to rationality. The only thing we can use to justify rationality, reasoning, logic, is to use them to sort of prove themselves, right? So because anyone who says, no, that's not true, well, then all I'll do is run a Socratic argument where I say, how do you justify this? How do you justify this? And they'll arrive at some basis where it's just a circular truth. It's a necessary truth.
But so I don't think, but so my point's been, I don't think that like I don't think you need to do that.
Okay, but I'm saying...
I have a quick question, Deathspell.
Okay.
Deathspell, quick question.
Okay.
Like, when are you like presenting your thesis to, like all of the philosophers of the world?
Independent of whether it's true. Independent of whether it's true. Independent of whether it's true.
No, excuse me. I'm just asking. Like, if you know what's true, why aren't you telling everybody else?
Doesn't follow. I have to always tell people it's true if I know it's true. It doesn't follow logically.
I didn't say it followed logically. I'm just saying.
He's just asking generally, like, so you have a thing that you're like working on or did work on. When are you gonna show like more people that?
When I develop
study this profession. Okay.
Okay, but I'm just like, don't you think you have it already developed? It sounds to me.
Well, part of me having this argument with you is me sort of trying to explain it. There you go.
But I mean, you're not doing a good job. So, like, maybe, like,
I'm not doing a
good job.
Guys, oh my god. Okay.
There could be technical. There could be technical gaps between our understanding.
We're at a point where I'm saying that I don't think you need, right? So I don't think you need logic to like justify logic.
Well, then what else? How does that follow?
We don't have to
justify some rules of inference or deduction. How does that follow from that? It's not using some rules of deduction or induction.
Instinct. I should send him like the thing I've been rewriting.
Hey, but if you send it to me, man. I'll read it. That's fine. That's okay. Send it to me. That's okay. And once I haven't seen your theory, you can send it to me for I didn't get to look at it.
Yeah, because
I heard one thing's had a theory as well. I wouldn't mind having a look at it.
Yeah, that's good.
He seems like a smart chap, but he's got to work his logic.
No. Okay, so I start with abstraction, and then
is this a paper or just photos of it?
This isn't like photos. This is like something I'm writing.
Yeah, I've got it here.
Yeah. I mean, you need permission to.
So do you like work? Do you like study philosophy, like formally, or?
That's like what I study professionally.
Oh, that's cool. What are you like, undergrad, grad?
I'm undergrad, but okay. I've like spent a significant amount of time doing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. I think that's cool, man. Like,
yeah, and my goal is to eventually get a dual PhD in history and philosophy.
Well, what about you, Deathspell? Do you study philosophy?
Oh, I do, yeah, but I was going to study
as in like in an academic setting.
No, I communicate with academics. I communicate.
You're not answering my question.
Yeah, but I think he's implying no. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm implying no.
Oh, okay.
But then remember the fallacy. That doesn't.
No. I didn't use a fallacy. Do not say that. I asked you a question. Don't jump to conclusions.
But you're using it for rhetorical effect to say. No. You're using it for rhetorical effect to say, because I'm not an academic philosopher. You can't. These people can't trust me because I don't have expertise.
No, that's
using
not
it for
what I
rhetorical
said.
effect. Yes, sure. That's your intentions behind it. You're competing with me. You're competing.
Okay, a couple of things. I will say, like, certainly it is fair to say that, like, I do believe Instinct's a bit annoyed, but I also think that, like, he's genuinely asking you just a question.
Yeah, well, I disagree with that. I think he's trying to rhetorically poke fun.
I understand, but like, I mean,
he's done that to me
we've
before.
We've known him for like a while, and we do trust his like intent.
Yeah, but that's because you're friends with him. I'm not friends with him, so he's going to treat me like an outsider and use rhetorical tricks against me if I oppose his philosophy, right? It's rhetorical tricks. That's how it works. He knows what I'm describing is accurate.
We don't accept that, but anyway.
Yeah,
So with regard to like the actual conversation, I mean, I would suggest you like read what I sent you.
I for sure will. One thing, do you want to send me your theory? I can look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, actually, okay. To be clear, it's way before a theory. It's like the foundation, like literally the whole of the substance that I have is how I think we even get to logic, right?
Yes. Well, I think it's
literally about what we've been like talking about for like.
There you go, mate.
Okay, thanks for that.
And so at the time, like when like you examine what I sent, we can go over that, and like when we're all on the same page, like you've had a chance to look over it, we can all go over
that. Model.
So until then, I think that this conversation is very moot.
Well, okay, I think I've had a good discussion. After I want to apologise if I've attacked and degraded his character. Sorry, my fault. But I'm on defensive. I'm on an edge because I perceive myself to occasionally be in hostile territory. Okay, I know there's not necessarily anyone here who's pushing my philosophy, right? So I may be competing against the whatever dominant philosophy here is here. So I'm on the edge.
I'm sure you could find some people that may agree with you, but I will say this: we are all in fact zombies, and like we will,
Nah, man, come on, man. We're subjects with our own personal free will. Come on. You don't want to be treated like an object.
Do you believe?
I don't accept. Yeah, I don't accept free will either.
Yeah, I don't believe.
That's right. That's an argument for another time.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to have to back out of this one now, guys. I've got to go now. But it's been a good discussion. I've enjoyed it. If you don't, please, honestly, it was a good discussion. I did enjoy having it. Don't misread that as some sort of attack on your character. This is how debate works, and all debates, they always get intense and heated. That's okay. I don't take it personally, okay? I don't take it personally. I like to take it seriously, all right? So anything I've said, please don't take it seriously. I don't mean it seriously. It's just how I get in debates because I like having debate, and I actually appreciate the opportunity to explain my ideas and have an argument with you.
All right. We believe your intent. We believe your intent is good.
Thank you. Thank you for faith in my intent.
We'll move on from this.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I'll probably. Is this going to be posted in the video?
Yeah, likely.
Okay. I'll definitely check it out. Back in the announcements. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, mate.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and join us in the Nameless Debates Discord. We hope to see you there.